Have you ever wondered how simple financial mistakes can lead to a lifetime of poverty? Let's take a moment to delve into that thought. We live in a world where money makes a significant impact on our lives. It's a world where financial literacy is not just a luxury, but a necessity. Yet surprisingly, many people lack the basic understanding of how money works. They don't know how to save, invest, or even manage their daily expenses. This ignorance often leads to poor financial decisions with consequences that ripple through their lives. Imagine a boat sailing in the ocean without a compass. The sailor might have all the resources he needs: food, water, even a strong wind in his sails, but without direction, he's bound to get lost. That's what financial ignorance is like. It's sailing through life without a compass, vulnerable to the storms of debt, bankruptcy, and poverty. Now consider the power of financial literacy. It's like having a map and compass on that boat. Sure, the storms may still come, but you're better equipped to navigate through them. You can plot a course that leads to financial stability and ultimately, wealth. In the minutes to come, we'll be exploring real-life stories of individuals who made grave financial mistakes and found themselves sinking in the quicksand of poverty. These are not tales of deliberate folly, but rather, stories of individuals who simply didn't know better. They were victims of their own ignorance. These stories are not meant to frighten or shame, but to educate. They serve as reminders that financial literacy is a skill that needs to be honed and cherished. It's a tool that can help us avoid the pitfalls of poor financial decisions. So as we embark on this journey together, remember, knowledge is power. Financial knowledge can be the difference between a life of prosperity and a life of poverty. Stay tuned to hear some eye-opening stories of financial blunders. Imagine winning a lottery and then going broke. Sounds impossible, right? Meet John, the lottery loser. John, a regular guy from a small town, was once just like you and me. He held a 9-to-5 job, lived paycheck to paycheck with dreams bigger than his bank account. Then, one lucky day, the unimaginable happened. John won the lottery jackpot, a whopping sum of $20 million. It seemed like life had finally given John a golden ticket, an express pass out of his mundane existence, and into the world of the rich and famous. As the money poured in, John's life transformed overnight. Luxury cars replaced his old clunker, designer clothes filled his closet, and extravagant vacations became the norm. He was living the dream, or so it seemed. However, behind the glitz and glamour lurked an impending financial disaster. John, like many before him, fell into the trap of reckless spending. He splurged on everything he'd ever desired, without a second thought about budgeting or investing. Money seemed endless, but it wasn't. As the years rolled by, the millions dwindled. What was once a fortune, slowly but surely, turned into a string of zeros. His lack of investment knowledge made matters worse. Instead of putting his money to work, John let it drain away. He bought depreciating assets, like luxury cars and gadgets, instead of investing in appreciating assets, like real estate or stocks. The concept of compound interest was as foreign to him as the life of luxury he was leading. In the end, John found himself back where he started, only this time, without a job or a lottery ticket to count on. His wealth, like a fleeting dream, had disappeared. The lottery, which should have been his ticket to financial freedom, became a ticket to financial ruin. John's story is a stark reminder of how important it is to manage windfalls wisely. It's not just about getting rich, it's about staying rich. And that requires more than just luck or money. It requires financial literacy, prudent spending, and smart investing. Debt can be a useful tool, but it can also be a dangerous trap. Hear about Sarah's descent into the debt spiral. Meet Sarah. She was like any other woman with dreams of a lavish lifestyle that seemed just a credit card swipe away. The allure of instant gratification overpowered her sense of financial responsibility. Luxuries, she thought, were just loans away. Sarah started small, a designer handbag here, an extravagant holiday there. But it's funny how quickly small indulgences can snowball into a mountain of debt. The interest piled up, and before she knew it, she was knee-deep in financial quicksand. She took out loan after loan, each one a desperate attempt to keep up with the payments of the last. It was a dangerous game of financial Jenga, and the tower was getting perilously high. The irony was that she was borrowing to live a life of luxury, but the stress of her mounting debt was anything but luxurious. She was caught in a whirlpool of financial distress, spinning faster and faster towards the bottom. As the saying goes, the borrower is slave to the lender. And Sarah was no exception. Her freedom was slowly eroded by the chains of debt. She was working not to live but to repay. Each paycheck was swallowed by the gaping mouth of interest and principal repayments. The luxuries that once brought her joy now served as haunting reminders of her financial folly. The designer handbag, once a symbol of her status, now sat in the corner of her room, collecting dust and guilt. The debt spiral was not just a financial pitfall, it was an emotional abyss, a mental black hole that sucked the joy out of her life. Sarah was not just bankrupt financially, she was bankrupt emotionally and mentally. Sarah's tale is a cautionary one about the dangers of irresponsible borrowing. It's a stark reminder that debt, while a useful tool, can quickly turn into a trap if not handled responsibly. Remember, the lure of immediate gratification can lead to a lifetime of financial distress. It's not worth it. Don't let yourself be the next Sarah. Starting a business is a dream for many, but without proper planning, it can turn into a nightmare. Meet Paul, the failed entrepreneur. Paul was an ambitious man with a vision. He had a dream to start his own business. Fueled by this burning desire, he invested his life savings into his venture, hoping to carve out his own corner in the world of entrepreneurship. However, enthusiasm alone isn't always enough, and in Paul's case it certainly wasn't. Paul was like many first-time entrepreneurs. He was driven by passion, but he lacked the necessary knowledge and experience to navigate the complex world of business. He didn't bother to do market research, he didn't create a business plan, and he had no contingency plan for when things went south. In essence, he jumped into the deep end without first learning how to swim. As the months rolled on, the reality of his situation began to dawn on him. His business was sinking, and he was sinking with it. His life savings began to evaporate, his debts began to mount, and the dream that once seemed so attainable began to crumble before his eyes. Paul's story is a classic example of what can happen when ambition isn't tempered with prudence. It's one thing to dream big and take risks, but it's another thing entirely to leap without looking. Entrepreneurship is not a gamble, it's a calculated risk. It's a journey that requires careful planning, market research, financial acumen, and a whole lot of patience. In the end, Paul's business venture failed. He was left with nothing but a mountain of debt and a shattered dream. But his story serves as a stark reminder of the perils of diving into entrepreneurship without proper preparation. Paul's experience is a lesson in the importance of careful planning and research in business. Don't be like Paul. Don't let your dreams blind you to the realities of running a business. Remember, the road to success is paved with careful planning, not just passion and ambition. These stories are not just tales of financial woe, but lessons in financial wisdom. Each story, each individual, paints a vivid picture of the consequences that can befall anyone when they disregard the importance of financial literacy. From our first story, we witness the high price of ignorance. The tale of John, who chose to ignore the importance of financial education, serves as a stark reminder that knowledge truly is power. By neglecting to understand the basics of personal finance, he plunged himself into a situation that could have been avoided. Ignorance in this case was far from bliss. Then there was the story of Sarah, the lottery loser. Her tale emphasized that sudden wealth is not a ticket to lifelong prosperity. Responsible spending is a crucial pillar of financial stability. It's not about how much money you have, but how you manage it. Spending recklessly, without a plan or understanding, can lead to a rapid downfall, no matter the size of your fortune. We also delved into the world of debt through Paul's story. This was a chilling reminder of the dangerous spiral that can be triggered by careless borrowing. Debt, when not handled wisely, can become a relentless cycle, pulling you deeper into financial distress. Borrowing should be approached with caution, understanding the terms and ensuring a solid plan for repayment. Our final tale was of the failed entrepreneur. This story serves to underscore the importance of thoughtful investment. One unsuccessful venture can lead to financial ruin if you don't diversify your investments and manage the risks involved. Not every venture is destined for success, and the ability to navigate the unpredictable waters of entrepreneurship is essential. Each of these stories highlights the importance of financial literacy, responsible spending, careful borrowing, and thoughtful investment. These are not just cautionary tales, but lessons in financial wisdom that can guide us on the path to financial security and prosperity. Remember, financial mistakes can have lifelong consequences. Stay financially wise to avoid the pitfalls that led John, Sarah, and Paul to poverty.